Today, my dear friends, we come face to face in the gospel with one of the teachings of Jesus that many people find uncomfortable. The Beatitudes of Jesus. It did not start in our own time. Even in biblical times, many did not find it comfortable. Why? In the Old Testament biblical tradition, the assumption or the belief is that anyone who is wealthy or rich is blessed by God. That's the understanding. And if anyone is poor or wretched or going through misery, then the person is not in a good relationship with God. Whatever the person is going through is like a punishment from God. If you want to understand this clearly, look at the story of Job, for example, in the Old Testament. When his friends came, some of them were asking, "What did you do that this has befallen you? If God has decided to punish you in this way, why not abandon this God and seek restoration of your fortune from somewhere else?" Blessings, wealth, prosperity come from God. So, if anyone is wealthy, prosperous, or successful in life, the person enjoys a good relationship with God. Having this at the back of our minds, look at the scenario in what Jesus presents to his listeners in the gospel of today. It is more like a reversal of the standards of the world. That understanding about who is rich and who is poor, Jesus turns it upside down. Who are the blessed? The poor, the hungry, the persecuted, those who mourn. They are those who are blessed. How is that possible? And then those who enjoy prosperity, success, wealth, they are the ones that Jesus says, "Woe unto them." How is that possible? What was Jesus driving at with the teaching on the Beatitudes? Both in the Gospel of Luke chapter 6 and the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5. What is the point here? How do we understand this? Primarily, let's go back to what drives people's action in life. What motivates people? What drives them on? Or, put in a simple language, what is the source of people's happiness? What normally makes people happy? Father Lawrence, I know what makes me happy. I don't know what makes you happy. What propels you to seek for happiness in life? Some look for happiness in food. Some look for happiness in drinks. Some look for happiness in acquisitions. Some look for happiness in relationships. Some look for happiness in gadgets, especially in today's world. in technological world, some look for happiness in so many ways. But the question now becomes, how long will that sort of happiness last? Is it a lasting happiness, or a transitory happiness, or a temporary happiness? The truth, from biblical times to our own times, is that these sources of happiness never last. And this is the background of the teaching of Jesus. It is more like a clarification of what the prophet Jeremiah presents before us in the first reading of today. Jeremiah presents two ways. Cursed is the man or the one who trusts in human beings, who seeks his strength in flesh, whose heart turns away from the Lord. And I want to ask, what turns away the heart of human persons from the Lord? What? If you're able to answer that question, then you will understand where Jesus is driving at. What is it that turns away the attention of people from the Lord? What? The pursuit of things in life. What comes first in our priorities in life? In a scale of 1 to 5, what comes first? What comes second? What comes third or fourth or fifth? What is the place of God in our lives? That's the question. If you answer that question, then you are closely coming to the point of Jesus in the gospel. Of course, Jesus is not saying people should not be wealthy. Jesus is not saying people should not be happy. Jesus is not saying people should not be joyful or enjoy the work of their hands. Definitely, you need to. In fact, every person is entitled to enjoy the fruit of his labor or her labor. But it becomes a problem when those things we do in life turn away our hearts from the Lord, like Jeremiah the prophet said in the first reading of today. And when that happens, the consequences are enormous. The person, that individual, will become like a barren bush in the desert that enjoys no change of season. The person remains dry, without life, without nutrients, without growth. The person just hangs in there. But the person who, even in the face of happiness or pleasure or wealth or whatever we may have in life, decides to trust in the Lord, whose hope is in the Lord, the benefits, the advantages are enormous as well. Such a person will be like a tree planted beside the waters that stretches out its roots to the stream. It fears not the heat when it comes. It stays green all year round. In the year of drought, it shows no distress, but still bears fruit year in, year out. That is what Jesus intended to communicate to his listeners in the gospel of today. It's about choice or choices. Where lies our heart? That's the fundamental question. Does our heart lie in the things we pursue in life, or does our heart lie in the source of the things we pursue? Spiritual masters will always tell us that the greatest disadvantage any child of God or any disciple of Jesus Christ we'll get into is to leave the Creator and pursue creatures. I'll say it again. Spiritual masters, spiritual theologians, the fathers of the church, the doctors of the church, experts, our ancestors in the faith tell us that one of the disadvantageous things that an individual will encounter in life is to leave the Creator of all things and pursue created things. In fact, I've shared this in church here before. Thomas Aquinas tells us that in the pursuit of happiness, people tend to substitute the position of God with 4 things. It could be wealth, it could be pleasure, it could be power, or it could be honor. And I agree with St. Thomas Aquinas. I've seen it in the lives of people. I've heard about it and I've read about it. Very often, when people pursue these 4 things, they tend to turn away their hearts from the Lord, like Jeremiah the prophet said in today's first reading. In the pursuit of wealth, in the pursuit of pleasure, in the pursuit of power, and in the pursuit of honor. These things tend to turn away people's attention from the Lord. And so when Jesus speaks about the blessedness of those who have put their trust in the Lord, they may be hungry, they may be poor, they may be persecuted, but their rewards will remain eternal. But those whose hearts are turned away from the Lord in the pursuit of wealth and everything good in life, Jesus says, woe unto them, because their reward is only temporary. Today, in this Mass, I want us to answer this fundamental question. Where lies our heart? I want every person in this church, including myself. In fact, I've already started answering that question myself before I started this Mass. Where lies my heart each day I wake up in the morning? What do I pursue each day I wake up in the morning? Even if I'm going to work, even if I'm carrying out my daily activities, do I push God to the side? Or do I keep God central in whatever I do in life? To drive home this message, I want to give a very practical example. And I'm sure many people are not going to be happy with me with what I'm going to say now. Here in Stillwater, it is a sports town. The culture here, the small god here is sports. The games, could be football or anything, sports. That's what is thriving so much in this town. And in the pursuit of the pleasure this gives, many people, many Christians will prefer to spend their time in that direction, and many don't even mind skipping the Sunday Mass. Many don't mind skipping the weekend celebration just to pursue or participate or attend to this culture. And for every true child of God, you have every option to fulfill a Sunday obligation, for example. And that's the beauty of Stillwater here, the beauty of this church. If 5 p.m. doesn't work, 8:30 a.m. will work. If 8:30 a.m. doesn't work, 11:15 will work. If 11:15 doesn't work, 1 p.m. will work. Many people all over the world are looking for just one opportunity every week to attend Mass. But for many of the children of God, they trade in that glorious moment with temporary pleasure of going to the games. I just want to use something we're at home with. I know many people will not agree with me. Many people will feel uncomfortable, but that is the truth. And this is what I want every one of us to answer or address in this Mass. And I'm going to put it in a very simple way. Where lies your heart? In the Creator or in created things? Think about that. Where lies your heart? God bless you.